secrets of life are buried within, and when we follow the words of Jesus, we reach that place where God's mysteries are revealed. They are revealed in two ways: by following the Word of God, one, and they are revealed by the salvation we receive when we transition. I was talking to one of the leaders of this community, and I asked him, was he going to attend a funeral? He looked at me and he said, "Pastor, I'm funeral out." That's what he said. We are having way too many funerals. I said, "I'm the pastor. I can't say I'm funeral out." Because families expect me to be present. But what I can say is that it gives me an opportunity every time I stand before you to declare Jesus Christ crucified, and that through his life and his death on the cross that we all can be saved. It gives me a chance to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's at a time when people are focused on it. So in a way, God continues to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. You might not get to church every Sunday, but sooner or later you're going to get here. I could go into detail about that, but I'm going to stop right there. Listen, keeping our right hand from knowing what our left hand is doing is pretty hard. All you have to do is try to do it and you'll see. It's hard for your right hand not to know what your left hand is doing. And your left hand, I got that right? Not to know what your right hand is doing. So, it's following Jesus. It's very tough to follow Jesus. Because Jesus understood our hearts and our intentions. And he said, "I will judge you according to what you really believe." Not what you told somebody. Not what you did publicly. But what's in your heart. He warned against hypocrisy. I talk to young people all the time about, well, I love to see you come to church. And whether it's in the lower south, in the north, the west, or the east, their response is universal. You know what they say? "Oh, over at that church is a bunch of what? Hypocrites." I say, how do you know that? I don't want to give you the answer that they give me. They say, my parents go to church. And they argue and fight all the time. If that's what being a Christian is like, I don't want no part of it. We have to be very careful what we say and what we do in front of our children, in front of our grandchildren, in front of our great-grandchildren, in front of the youth of this community. Jesus warned against hypocrisy, and he also warned against outward shows of religiosity. What we do must be done from an inward belief. What we do must be done to the glory of God. Not that we might get praise, but that God might be glorified. He created us. And he's glorified when we do good. He's glorified when we care for the needy. He's glorified when we serve the sick and afflicted, when we visit people in the hospital. Because that's how he shows himself to those who are lost and who are locked out and who are left out. Our text cautions against hypocrisy in giving. It says, if we give as an outward act, we don't mean it. I don't get me wrong now. I don't want you to stop giving, amen. The church needs your resources. I'm not saying don't give. Don't get it twisted. But what I am saying, make sure you're giving from your what? Heart. Heart. Our text says, when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. In other words, don't think about it. If we think about it, we're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. I was going to put in this sermon, if we use it for a tax deduction, we might be doing it for the wrong reason. But I'm not going to put that in the sermon. How crass of you, Pastor, to put that in the sermon. Take your tax deduction, that's what I'm going to tell you. But make sure you're giving for the what? The right reasons. Our text says, give in secret. I remember the little old lady used to sit in the front pew. Oh, not you. And that little old lady, when it came time to give, every Sunday, she would hide her offering. And she would make sure nobody saw what she was giving. And she'd put it down deep into the pig, right like that, so you wouldn't know what she gave. When that lady transitioned, she was the largest donor in the church. Nobody knew that. She never let it, and she never acted like it either. She never let nobody know what she was doing. She understood about God sees in secret and rewards openly. Another way the secrets of life are revealed to us is by the symbolic acts of faith that we do. Baptism is an outward symbol of an inward commitment to God. There's no power in the water. Now, the Baptists might dispute that. Is the Baptist in it? The Baptist said, you don't go under, you ain't saved. I mean, well, you know, there's something to be said for submersion. Somebody said, do they submerge in the Presbyterian church? I said, yeah, they submerge in the Presbyterian church, but not on the North Slope. Unless you want to join that polar bear club that they got running around here. A polar bear club. Somebody asked me when I came up here, Pastor Reed, do you want to join the polar bear club? I said, polar bear club? What is that now? I didn't like the sound of that polar bear club. I said, look at my skin. You think I'm from a cold region? I'm from a warm region. I don't want to join the polar bear. Communion is a symbolic act. That's an outward act. When I ask the kids to light the candles to start the worship service, that's a symbolic act. It's a symbol of God's presence in the tabernacle when that candle is lit. And now I got kids that kind of compete to get to do it. I like that. They want to do it. And sometimes we have to keep them wanting to serve, wanting to participate, wanting to be a part of the church activities. That's up to us. Tonight we're going to be doing another emblematic act, another symbolic act that has so much meaning. And what we'll be doing tonight is called an act of faith. It's an act of belief. It's an act that we submit ourselves to. Not because the Bible said, you do this, but because something within us said, I want to go to the Ash Wednesday service tonight. I want to be present. I know I'm a sinner, saved by grace. I know I fall short in so many ways, and I want to be present. I want to be present, and I want to hear the words before I transition earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Mark knows what I'm talking about because we said way too many times since I've been here, over 50 times I've stood at the at the gravesite and said those words. Tonight you're going to hear those words, but you're not going to be in the gravesite. That's what this symbol is all about. When we express and act our faith outwardly, God knows what we feel in our hearts. It's like not letting the right hand know what the left hand is doing. Those of you here tonight, we get ashes imposed on your foreheads. And I'll say these words, and I'm going to ask the two elders to join me. I think I got two elders here, Miranda and active elders on the session, to join me as we do the imposition of these ashes. You're going to hear me or hear them say, "You've come from dust, and thus you will return." In other words, you're going to die. I'm going to die. And here are some ashes to remind you, just in case you forget about it. And you don't have to be gone to hear these words. This is one of the secrets of the universe, that in death there is freedom. A lot of people don't realize that. Everything that feeds the planet dies to bring new life. Oh, do the whaling captains know that? They know it so well. As they sit there and watch that whale come and gives himself over to die so that the village might live. Everything in its season dies so that the spring brings the new life. And then new life comes from that life. And all of that life is melting and merging into one universal life. And our life is no different. It's a secret. It will be a freedom we have never known if we look at it properly. And the ashes is just a reminder that as believers in Jesus Christ, the sting of death is no more. Tonight we will stare death in the eye. What allows us to gaze into its face is an assurance of life. What allows us to gaze into its face is real life, eternal life, life everlasting. When we know our lives are safe in the hands of God, and that this physical life is just the beginning of eternity, then we're free to be honest with ourselves about what lies ahead. We can face death, yes, without fear, without pretending, because we know the one that we love and that we serve, that we gave our life to, has defeated death. And death is no more. To this end, I'll never forget my seminary training way, way back when. Thinking it's been too long ago. I was assigned to the cancer ward of the busiest hospital in the South, Grady Hospital. That's the hospital they sent all the young recruits to train on how to deal with emergencies, because so many people are coming through there. They had a whole floor that was dedicated to cancer patients. It was there that I met this very old lady who was dying. I'd heard that she was a tiny woman anyway when she was healthy. But her old age had ravished her body, and the disease had had its way. And there she lay, couldn't have been more than 50 pounds. There was no question that she was soon to die. And I was very nervous, a little young seminarian by the bedside of a woman that was a giant spiritually, and I didn't know it. All I could do was ask her nervously, "Ma'am, would you like for me to pray for you?" She grabbed my hand. I had never had a woman in that condition to grab my hand. And she held on to it tight. And she said, "Son," in sort of a weak but confident voice, "I've lived a good, long time," she said. And she looked me in the eyes, and those eyes were recessed back, but they were clear. "I want you to know, son," she said, "I'm ready." I'm not afraid. I paid my dues. I've lived a good life. I've saw my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, she said. And then she looked me in the eye and said with a very strong voice, "Can I pray for you?" That woman not only taught me how to live, but she showed me how to die. I rushed back the next day to see her. The day when I got there, all I saw was her mattress had been turned back. She was gone. Into my life and gone. Never to be seen again. But oh, do I preach about that lady? Do I talk about that lady? That lady confirmed for me my ministry. She told me in 1 minute what it was all about. Tonight, we too can face death. We can admit that we're mortal, that we will die. Because we know that through Jesus Christ, our salvation is secure. And we don't have to fear, we don't have to worry about it. That it's going to be okay. And the church said,